Let me take you to a moment. Imagine this. You're standing face to face with someone who wants to destroy you. There's no backup, no escape, no second chances. Just you and them. Locked in a moment where everything could fall apart. And here's the real question. Will your mind collapse under pressure? Or will it rise? Will your hands tremble? Will fear take over your heartbeat? Or will you remain as still as a mountain, calm, centered, unshaken? This isn't just a dramatic scene from a movie. It's a metaphor for life. Because every one of us, at some point, will face a confrontation we didn't ask for. It might not be a sword fight, but it will be a challenge. A betrayal, a difficult conversation, a financial storm, or a moment when someone tries to break your confidence. And in that moment, your greatest weapon isn't your strength. It's your mind. The person who controls their emotions wins. That's not philosophy. That's survival. And no one understood this better than Miyamoto Musashi. Musashi was not just a warrior. He was a living legend, Japan's most revered swordsman. He fought more than 60 duels, and he never lost. Let that sink in. 60. Not once did he fail. But here's what most people miss. Musashi's power wasn't just in his blade. It was in his mind. He wasn't just a master of the sword. He was a master of himself, and that's what made him unstoppable. His teachings weren't just about combat. They were about clarity, focus, self-control in the most chaotic situations imaginable. Think about that. What if you could stay calm, not just in meditation, not just when life is easy, but right in the middle of a storm? What if, when someone tried to provoke you, manipulate you, or corner you, you didn't react, you observed, you adapted, you stayed still, like Musashi, while the world around you lost its mind? Musashi left behind more than victories. He left behind a roadmap for mental mastery. And it applies far beyond the battlefield. Because today, our battles aren't with swords, they're with stress. With people who try to manipulate us. With high-pressure decisions. With moments that demand strength without rage, and clarity without panic. In this video, we're diving deep into Musashi's mind, not to glorify ancient battles, but to extract timeless wisdom. How do you stay calm when everything inside you wants to explode? How do you maintain control when the world pushes every button you have? Musashi knew. And if you learn what he taught, not only will you avoid being broken in moments of conflict, you'll dominate them. So let me ask you again. When life puts you face to face with a confrontation you didn't choose, will you freeze? Or will you rise? Let's step into the mind of a warrior. Let's uncover the stoic power of stillness, strategy, and strength, not through force, but through focus. This is how legends are made. And today, you're going to learn how to become one. Now let's step into the real lessons. The principles that made Musashi not only undefeated in battle but untouchable in life. These are not just techniques, they're foundations for mastering conflict, building inner strength, and winning the battles that happen inside you, before they ever happen around you. Let's start with one of his most profound teachings. 1. Think lightly of yourself, and deeply of the world. Sounds simple, right? But this one sentence has the power to rewire how you deal with confrontation forever. The biggest mistake we make in moments of pressure is making it personal. Someone criticizes us? We feel insulted. Someone challenges us? Our pride kicks in. We react, not because the threat is real, but because our ego feels attacked. And here's the danger. When ego enters, clarity exits. Musashi understood that. He trained himself not to see conflict as a personal war, but as a test of strategy. His mindset wasn't, "How dare they challenge me?" but "What's really happening here?" He observed. He analyzed. He stayed cool when others exploded. Let's bring this into the modern world. Imagine you're in a business negotiation. Someone lowballs you. They dismiss your value. Do you lash out? Get defensive? Prove your worth with anger? No. That's exactly how they take control. Instead, detach. See it like a chessboard. The less emotionally involved you are, the clearer you see the game. The truth is, the person who stays emotionally neutral holds the power. Not because they're cold, but because they're in control. And control, in any confrontation, is everything. Blank. Underscore. Blank. 2. Fixation is the way to defeat. Fluidity is the way to victory. Ever walked into an argument thinking, "I have to prove I'm right"? That tunnel vision is the fastest path to being manipulated. Because the more fixated you are on one outcome, one way to win, one point you must make, the easier you are to predict and defeat. Musashi never used the same tactic twice. Sometimes he wielded two swords. Sometimes just one. Sometimes wood. Sometimes steel. And sometimes he showed up late on purpose, just to unsettle his opponent. He didn't just fight, he disoriented. Because in battle, whether with swords or words, unpredictability is your greatest weapon. Try this in real life. If someone is trying to provoke you into yelling, stay silent. If they expect a fight, nod and agree in a way that throws them off balance. If they think you'll be defensive, respond with curiosity. The more flexible you are, the more dangerous you become. And the more they try to corner you, the more they end up cornering themselves. Musashi's message here is clear. Don't be rigid. Be water. Blank. Underscore. Blank. 3. You must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain. So many people panic in confrontation because they believe there's only one way to win: dominate, overpower, outtalk, outsmart. But what if that very belief is the real weakness? Musashi knew better. He believed that mastery isn't about being the strongest, it's about being the most strategic. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do in a conflict is nothing. Sometimes silence is more powerful than words. Sometimes walking away, not in weakness but with awareness, leaves your opponent exposed, alone in their own chaos. Think about it. How many arguments have you won by staying silent and letting the other person overextend themselves? How many deals have been closed because you waited, while the other person revealed too much? Musashi reminds us, don't play by their rules. Choose your own path. Maybe today's loss sets up tomorrow's bigger victory. Maybe surrendering one battle positions you to win the war. Control doesn't always look like force. Sometimes it looks like patience. 4. From one thing. No 10.000 things. This teaching may sound poetic, but it's brutally practical. Musashi believed in pattern recognition. That if you understand one truth deeply, human nature, timing, movement, emotion. You begin to see it echoed everywhere. He wasn't just a swordsman. He was a strategist, a philosopher, a student of the human condition. Let me ask you, have you ever sensed someone was lying, not by what they said, but by how their eyes shifted or their tone hesitated? That's pattern recognition. If you study body language, you'll hear the things no one says. If you understand psychology, you'll detect power plays before they start. If you know how people typically respond to fear, shame, or pressure, you can see their next move before they make it. Musashi studied more than swordsmanship. He studied everything: warfare, Zen philosophy, human nature. That's why he was never surprised. He was prepared. The more you understand the invisible patterns behind people's behavior, the more you become unbreakable. Blank. Underscore. Blank. 5. You can only fight the way you train. This is where most people fool themselves. They think when the pressure hits, they'll rise to the occasion. But Musashi knew better. You don't rise to the level of the moment. You fall to the level of your training. If you've never practiced keeping calm when someone insults you, why do you think you'll suddenly be composed when it matters most? If you panic when your plans change, how will you handle real chaos? If you avoid discomfort every day, how will you stay grounded when life punches you in the face? The truth is this: every moment is training. Every time you choose not to react, you sharpen your blade. Every time you hold your ground, you reinforce your discipline. Every time you resist the urge to prove yourself, you build strength. Musashi didn't become invincible by accident. He became invincible through relentless, intentional training, mentally, emotionally, physically, and so can you. Start now. Don't wait until the next crisis. Because in life, as in war, you don't get to practice once the battle starts. Blank. Underscore. Blank. So remember, think lightly of yourself so you don't get pulled into ego traps. Stay fluid so you're never predictable. Embrace the many paths to success. Don't lock yourself into just one. Learn to see the patterns, the invisible forces beneath human behavior. And most importantly, train every day. Not just in the gym, but in your reactions, in your silence, in your focus. Musashi's wisdom wasn't meant for ancient warriors. It was meant for anyone trying to stay strong in a chaotic world. And if you live by these principles, you won't just survive conflict. You'll master it. Let's bring everything together. The philosophy of Miyamoto Musashi isn't just about swords. It's not just about combat. It's about mastering the only battlefield that matters, the one inside your own mind. Most people go through life reacting to pressure, reacting to insults, reacting to fear. They live at the mercy of their emotions, flinching at criticism, panicking in uncertainty, crumbling when life doesn't go their way. But Musashi showed us there's another way. A better way. He taught us that the strongest people aren't the loudest or the most aggressive, they're the calmest. Because calmness is not weakness. Calmness is control. So ask yourself right now, are you someone who takes everything personally? Do you let ego drive your decisions? Do you freeze or lash out when things get hard? You don't have to keep living like that. You can become something else, something stronger. The path is clear. Right finger when you stop taking things personally. No one can manipulate your emotions. Right finger when you let go of a fixed outcome. You become impossible to predict, and harder to defeat. Right finger when you zoom out and see the bigger picture. You don't fall into obvious traps. You become a strategist. Right finger when you study the patterns of people, conflict, behavior. You gain foresight. You don't just react, you anticipate. Right finger and when you train your mind every day, not just in theory but in practice, you stop cracking under pressure. You stand tall, steady, ready. That's how you become different. Because here's the truth. In a world where almost everyone reacts emotionally, where people live in cycles of anger, fear, and insecurity, the person who stays calm, the person who pauses, observes, and responds with clarity, that person wins. Not just in arguments, not just in negotiations, but in life. So the next time someone insults you, tries to bait you, challenges you, don't rise to the trap. Don't give them the reaction they want. Just breathe, observe, smile. Because in that moment, they've already lost. Musashi didn't teach us how to destroy others. He taught us how to master ourselves. And in mastering ourselves, we become unshakable. That's the real victory. If this message spoke to something deep inside you, don't let it stop here. There's so much more waiting for you. More wisdom, more clarity, more tools to help you master your emotions, sharpen your mind, and become the calmest, most unshakable version of yourself. So don't just watch one video and move on. This is a journey. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and keep going with the next video on the channel. Because the more you learn, the less the world can shake you. And I promise, what's coming next might just change the way you face life forever. Let's keep growing together.